Hey everyone, so today I'm going to show you how I make my cream puffs. Cream puffs are made with a pâte à choux dough. Pâte à choux dough is used in a lot of different things like eclairs, beignets, even churros, but today we're going to use this dough to make cream puffs. The pâte à choux dough usually only consists of 4 ingredients. It's water, butter, eggs, and flour. The recipe that I use has also a little bit of salt and sugar for a little more flavor. But yeah, so let's get started and make some cream puffs. Okay, so let's go and get started. First, I'm going to go ahead and put my hair up. It's probably going to look crazy, but I don't want any hair in my cream puffs. So I'm going to go ahead and take my water and my butter, and I'm going to go ahead and bring it to a boil. And while that's happening, I'm just going to add my sugar and my salt together. Flour. I'm just going to give it a little stir. That's it. Okay, so my water and butter is to a boil, so I'm going to turn this down to kind of like a medium heat. I'm going to add my flour mixture, and I am going to stir it up. And what it's going to do is it's going to come together, and it's going to make a dough. What we're doing right here is we're cooking out some of the moisture and we're cooking the flour so we don't have that raw flour taste. So I'm going to do it for about a minute or two. See all that steam coming off? It's doing exactly what we want it to do. That's exactly what it should look like. And you kind of look in the bottom of the pot, you can see a skin is forming down there. That's good. That means that the dough's cooking the way it's supposed to. I'm gonna go for about 20 more seconds. All right, so I'm gonna turn it off, and we're gonna go over to the mixer. I'm gonna dump this in without spilling it. It's a little awkward angle. Okay, and I've got my paddle, and I'm just gonna go ahead and put this on a low speed just to kind of cool it down a little bit before I add my eggs. All right, so I think it's safe to add the eggs. So one at a time on low speed. I'm gonna add the eggs, and it's gonna come apart. It'll come back together. You just gotta let it mix. And if this was too hot, it would actually scramble our eggs. So that's why we cool it down first. So as long as you add one egg at a time, the dough will come back together. If you added all 3 at the same time, it may never come together. So we just want to make sure each egg is incorporated before we add the next. Number 2. So you'll see it'll separate and then it will come back together. And then I'm just going to say real quick, I have this really neat KitchenAid paddle attachment that actually scrapes the sides of the bowl. It gets all the way to the edge. If you just have the regular attachment, you're probably going to need a rubber spatula and scrape down the sides of the bowl in between each addition. But since mine kind of scrapes itself, I'm not doing that. But last egg. All right, I'm just going to let it go another 30 seconds or so. Just want to make sure that all the eggs are combined and that my dough is nice and thick and shiny. All right, so I'm happy with this. I'm going to go ahead and transfer it to a piping bag. I love this reusable piping bag I have. I've got an 805 round tip. I just want to get every last bit of this dough. So this is the tricky part. So I'm going to get all of this in here. Put this down for a second while I get the last little bit. use my bowl scraper, scoop all the dough down. Okay, and I'm gonna make a pretty decent sized cream puff. So I'm gonna use this to make 12. So I've done these quite a few times, so I know how big they have to be, but I'm using this inner circle as a guide. I'm gonna pipe straight down, stop piping, and flick it. Air bubble. It is sticky, and this is a tricky process, so if you haven't done this before, it may be a little difficult the first couple times. All right, so let's go put these beauties in the oven. So I'm gonna bake them for about 25 minutes at 350 convection, and then I'm gonna go ahead and let them dry out. So I'm gonna lower the oven to about 300 and kind of vent it and let them just kind of get all the extra moisture out. So see you back in a few. All right, so it's been 25 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna rotate these, and I'm gonna go ahead and vent them in the oven. I'm gonna leave the oven open just slightly, and I'm gonna lower the temperature down to 300, so that way we can go ahead and dry them out. They look really nice. One thing I love about cream puffs is that they're kind of rustic looking. They all look different, but they're all gonna taste delicious. So I'm just gonna leave the oven open a little bit. I'm gonna lower my temperature to 300. And the reason why we're drying them out on the inside is because we don't want that soggy dough inside the cream puff. So we want it to be nice and dried out. So see you back in about 10 to 15 minutes. All right, so they've been in here drying out for about 15 minutes. They look beautiful. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set them out here and let them cool down off the pan for a couple minutes, and then I'm going to transfer them to this cooling rack and let them cool all the way before I go ahead and fill them. All right, so my cream puffs have been cooling for about 10-15 minutes. They're nice and cool. You don't want to pipe any fillings or anything in them when they're hot or warm. So as you can see, they look really cool. So you can fill them with anything you want. Some people like to slice them in half and then put a scoop of ice cream and chocolate syrup, whatever, on top. I like to fill mine with a pastry cream and whipped cream combination. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and dip them in a ganache, and then I'm gonna top them with, I have these freeze-dried strawberries, and I just like it because it gives it a little bit of strawberry flavor, but it also gives it like a pop of hot pink color. So let's go ahead and get started. So I've got some whipped cream that I whipped up. It's just heavy whipping cream, a little vanilla, and some powdered sugar. And then I've got this pastry cream that I made last night. So just gonna mix it together. Just wanna lighten it up a little bit before I add the whipped cream. So just folding it in. Okay. So I'm happy with that. So this is going to be my filling. So I got a piping bag with smaller tip. And before I get started, what I like to do is the top half is all going to be covered with ganache, so you're not going to see it. I like to try and find a weak spot. Some of them have, let's see, like this has a little hole. So I'm just gonna poke the tip in there and fill it up through there. It just makes it easier than trying to do it from the bottom or from the other side. But a paper towel, because when we fill these, it's gonna kind of come out a little bit. So let's start with this one so I'm just gonna go right here, and when you hold it in your hand, you can feel it filling up, so you'll know when it's all the way full. So there's that one. And then I'm just gonna keep going until they're all the way filled. If you don't really have a weak spot, you just kind of poke it. Like I said, we're trying to put it in a spot that's gonna be hidden. And I'll show you. See, it's full, it's coming out. That's okay, I'm gonna clean that up when I'm all done. All right, so now it's just time to fill them. So now I'm just going to clean these off. All right, so now I've got my ganache. It's nice and shiny and pretty. Cool down. Got a sheet pan to place them when they're finished. And I'm just gonna start dipping. So like I say, just clean up the sides. Let it drip off any excess. Kind of roll it around. All right. So you could leave these as is. You could sprinkle on some toasted nuts, some toasted coconut, whatever you like. But like I said, I like to use these freeze-dried strawberries just to give it a little extra color. And let's go ahead and cut it open and see what it looks like on the inside. Hopefully it's filled up enough with the cream. Moment of truth. Oh yeah. So let's flip it over. And there's our cream puffs. That is how you make cream puffs, or how I make cream puffs. So thanks for watching.